Okay, and then kind of similar to the last story, I just like this tweet from Mitchell Hashimoto, who is the founder of HashiCorp, where he says he's someone that still likes tab complete models. I personally don't like the tab complete models. I like when AI writes all of the code for me and then I can review it offhand. But I do understand why people would want to move slower and be able to review line by line. And it was an interesting time, you know, in 2023 when we did have the Copilot tab complete. That was still writing a lot of our code, but I do remember we got to a point where people were just spamming tab, you know, and I think Cursor even released like a tab only keyboard, which is kind of funny. It's kind of like the Stack Overflow copy paste keyboard, which existed even before AI. So on that point, just real quick as well, it's not like we've fully like outsourced our brain. Like people were outsourcing their brain to external tools like Stack Overflow even before AI became popular. So it really is on the developer themselves to make sure they can withstand the mental model and make sure that they understand the code they're writing and being able to learn new practices and all of these pieces and understanding the tools they're working with. But Mitchell says that it struck him today that local models are probably good enough nowadays for doing tab completion, and surely folks are doing this, but he can't find any great resources. And Primogen also says he built his own autocomplete a while back, and it was quite fun. He used a tiny box, which is cool. That's from George Hotz's company, who's the founder of Comma AI, and he was the first person to jailbreak the iPhone. But what this made me think about too, which is kind of similar to the story we talked about previously, is like, what if you had a model that was only fine-tuned on the docs of the language you're using, you know, or specifically like the tools you're using, like the databases, etc. I do wonder if you would get better results than these models that are trained on the entire internet, because there's so much stupidity and like horrible code that's probably been trained into these models. And I know they try to fine-tune and improve it, and obviously the harnesses themselves try to add layers on top, and then you're also supposed to add your rules within your projects to make sure it writes clean code. But I think it would be interesting if you really had a fine-tuned local model that was only trained on the documentation of the languages you're using and the databases you're using, and then added the rules that you care about, you know, like writing clean code, small functions, good naming, etc. If you would have better results. So I thought that was pretty fascinating, and I don't really have the time to research into this, and maybe there is a tool that exists like that, but I do think that's probably where we're headed in the future, is more of these fine-tuned models that are obviously cheaper to run as well, because they have less data and less parameters that they need to worry about, but they're more like specialized on the tools that you're using, and especially for writing code, which is what I primarily use AI for.